You're live.
Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to the shop. Tonight we're talking about spokeshaves. This is one of my favorite tools that is a crazy amount of fun. But it's one of these subjects where there are lots of different things you can get into, and it seems like something pretty simple. You can go buy a spokeshave, but then there's that spokeshave, and then there's that spokeshave, and then there's the other spokeshave, and then there's those spokeshaves, and just lots of things to talk about, from sharpening to different types and different uses. So we're going to have a good bit of fun with that. Things happening. There isn't too much going on. There aren't any events that we're going to. And Sarah hasn't had much time to work on the bench. So yeah, I'm actually rather happy she's down here because she is exhausted. So if you start to hear some snoring, it's okay.
I don't snore. I don't know what you're talking about. You may kick the desk.
Yes,
but...
there will be plenty of kicking. Most of the time because I deserve it. So if you have any questions, go ahead and throw those in the chat, and I will try, if you are watching this recorded, I'll try and have all of the questions listed down below so you can see them in the timeline as well as down in the description. Because we're talking about spokeshaves, I'm going to be talking about a couple projects. So I also have videos that are simple projects that you can make with a spokeshave. Those I have linked down below as well. Oh, I don't have a video of making the spokeshave. Well, I have the video, I just don't have a link down there. But there's several things down there if you want to see more information. The description down below has it. So let's get into this. If you have any questions, throw them in there. Sarah will try and collate them, and we'll start into it. When looking at spokeshaves, there's two main basic types. You have your flat bottom spokeshave, and you have a rounded bottom spokeshave. Now, let's actually flip to a camera that exists. The other one did not exist. So let me pull this out. So what I've got here,
okay,
this is...
Stop.
What?
Focus the camera,
Focus?
please.
Oh, yes. Let's do that. There we go. Is that better?
Yes.
This is a Stanley 151, which is probably the most common of all spokeshaves. It's a very, very standard spokeshave, and a lot of companies have made knockoffs of it, and 90% of the time the knockoffs are good. The nice thing about this one is it has two adjusters, so I can actually adjust the blade back and forth and in and out with just these two knobs. It makes it a very easy plane to control. Tay Tools actually has some that I really recommend. They're a good balance of price and quality. Now, most of the time with spokeshaves, getting a cheap one is perfectly fine because, sorry, got a canker sore here that's driving me bonkers today. Most of the time getting a cheap one is perfectly fine. There really isn't much that can go wrong with these. As long as the sole is flat or rounded, depending upon if you want that, it's going to work. There isn't too much to them. You don't worry about the iron being amazing because it's not something you sharpen that often. But when looking at them, this one has a flat bottom, and it's got a very large flat surface to register against. Some of them will have big flat surfaces, this one, but if you look at this one is ever so slightly convex, has a slight round to it. The iron here is flat, but then this has a little bit of a round to it. So it's not perfectly flat, but it's close to it. Then you can start to get into planes like irons like this, where it's very rounded. Now this particular one has a mouth that I can open up. See if I can do it by hand. Nope, that one's cranked down. And I can actually flip this mouthpiece out, and this has a flat side here and a rounded side here. So this one can do both a rounded cut as well as a flat cut, depending upon how I put that in there. And that's usually the biggest difference. Is it rounded or is it flat? Now, anything that you can do with a flat, you can also do with a rounded. Rounded just takes a little bit more work. So usually when I'm telling people to get started, and they can only get one or the other, get a flat bottom sole. It's easier to learn. You get to figure out all of the setup and the function and the sharpening of it. And then once you get down with that, then you can get a rounded spokeshave, because anything you can do with a flat, you can also do with a rounded. But there's lots of things with a rounded spokeshave, getting inside a concave surface, you can't do with a flat bottom. It's just a rounded takes a little bit more work. So we'll be working on that. Then the other thing is that you can also get a concave sole. And so this is a Stanley that actually has a flat bottom and a concave bottom. So rather than being rounded, this is still a flat bottom, but it's concave. So if I'm doing a dowel and trying to round that out, this makes it a little bit easier. However, I've never used this one. And the reason being is that if I'm doing A dowel, don't really need to do this. I can still use a flat bottom, and I can get the same thing. It just takes a few more strokes. So some people out there absolutely swear by these, and some people love them, and some people don't. In the end, it's kind of a personal preference. For me, it's not it's not something you really have to have. I got this one so I can show it off in videos, but I've never had a time like, ooh, yeah, let's sharpen that one up and use it, because, yeah, don't really need it.
You barely sharpen them as it is.
True.
Be honest. Be honest.
Yeah, then you can also get one that is convex. It's shaped that way. And at this point, it's actually no longer considered a spokeshave. It's considered a travisher. And a travisher has a convex bottom. And this is for doing, for sculpting out seat bottoms, where your legs and your buttocks will sit in the seat. This is fantastic for that. It's just something you don't use that often. But when you do need it, this is one you want to get. I have 2 different travishers, and I've only used them each once. So, do you really need one? No, but there are some great places. If you're ever doing seats and things like that where you want to carve out the bottom, anytime you need a large concave surface that's not as deep as a bowl, travisher is what you want to grab. If you're going deeper than that, then you're getting into a gouge or a hook knife to get down into the bottom. Then that brings us to wooden versus metal. The nice thing about wooden is that you can get the iron itself and make them your way and make them exactly what you want. I have videos showing making these 2 as well as another one. And these ones have irons that are actually a tang style. So it's one piece of steel that's all the way across here. It has these 2 tangs that come up through, and that's all it is. One piece of wood, one piece of metal, and you make this. And you can pound this back and forth to move the iron in and out. And this one is set up with a really steep rounded bowl nose on here, so this will do rounded work very nicely. This one is a little bit rounded, but a little bit flatter. And I have a video making these ones. A lot of the kits you get now, rather than just having tangs that drive in and out, they'll actually have nuts on top, so you can tighten them down with that. Yeah, some people like that, some people don't. They're a little bit cheaper usually just to find an old tang style. Some people on the wooden ones like to actually have a metal piece right here in front of the mouth. So this back here, this is the iron, and this is a tang style iron. So I have the metal going all the way through and coming up into the tangs. And then in front of that, there is another piece of metal that has been bolted on here. And that's just a wear plate so that this doesn't wear down so quickly. We can see with this one, I've used it quite a bit, and the wood in front is actually starting to wear out. That just keeps the life of it. But this took me all of 30-40 minutes to make. So if it does wear out, then I'll make another one. And putting a wear plate in there almost doubles the time it takes to make one of these. So that ends up being a very personal question. What questions we have? Because I know we're getting a few. Might as well jump into those.
Yeah, well, the first one is Kenny-Anjanette Horn wants to know if Sarah has used the Spokeshave.
I'm sure you have, haven't you?
I'm sure I have, but I can demonstrate at any point in time.
We'll do that in a little bit.
All right,
So I'll be showing some
I think I have for, what did I use?
Yeah, the Spokeshave really is, if you're having kids in the shop and you want to get kids interested in woodworking, this is the absolute best tool for that. Because any kid can grab this, as long as it's set up well and on a flat bottom, any kid can make shavings just like that. And it really doesn't take much force. It doesn't take much pressure. And with big planes, you have to get some pressure in it to move the plane forward, to keep it in track. And with this, anyone can make curls very, very quickly and easily. And there really isn't a whole lot of skill once it's actually set up. So this is something great to get people into woodworking. What's the next question?
Let's see. Chris Peters, what bevel angle and micro bevel angle do you put on your Spokeshaves?
It really depends on the iron, because there are many different styles, and it really depends on what the cutting angle. If you have a flat bottom plane, like this one is flat bottom with a 45-degree bed on it. So this one, the bed of the plane comes down at 45 degrees to the bottom. In this case, I'd probably put a 35-degree bevel on there. I don't put secondary bevels on my irons. It's one more step, and I find it to be a waste of time personally. But if you like doing that, I would usually make my last bevel somewhere around 30-35 degrees. Now some of the other ones, here, let me knock this one out. Microphone cable caught. Let's pull that up and out of the way. Ooh, that was fun. So this one, with the tang style, when I knock this out, here, turn this on, and I can knock this out. This is whatever angle you can possibly get it at. And let me focus in a bit more. Because with this, you basically rest the plate on here, and I'll show sharpening in a little bit. So this is probably somewhere around 25 degrees, maybe it's about 20 degrees. It's a pretty low angle cutter because the bed of the plane is also the sole of the iron. So this is actually the flat bottom that you will slide along. So I mean, if I wanted to, I could actually use this just by itself. You know, just without a mouth, I have to be a little more careful of it diving in, but I can get curls with just that. So every one of them is going to be slightly different. For my standard 151s, I usually put them at about 35, 30 degrees-ish. But in all honesty, a lot of people really worry about the angle of the iron. As long as the angle is less than the bed angle of the iron, then you're fine. It's if the angle gets more than the bed angle, then the iron's not going to catch. The bigger the angle is, the longer it will stay sharp, but the harder it is to push through the wood. So you kind of gotta find that balance. What's the next question while I set up sharpening?
Kevin Hedin asked, I've got a Japanese spokeshave that has shrunk till the iron doesn't fit out here in Colorado. How do I get it to be functional again?
You can open up the mouth to make the iron fit in better. It's one of the nice things about wooden body plane is you can always modify it to fit it, or better yet, go ahead and make a new body for it. With Japanese planes, the plane is the iron. The rest of it is just something you make. And so in a Japanese plane, you might have a body that gets made 4, 5, 6 times, and the iron gets swapped out. That's actually pretty common. So that's just something to think about. Oh, I wanted to show off this little cute thing here.
Oh, I'm right here.
Yes, little finger. There are a bunch of these. I've never actually used them for anything, but a lot of the luthiers and music makers like these cute little ones. They're just cute. Sarah size for your convenience. What's the next question?
Let's see, from the poor man. Do I flatten the bottom of a flat spokeshave like I do a hand plane?
Yes, and just like with a hand plane, I usually will flatten the iron once and it's done. I never touch it again as long as it's still in good shape. You don't need to redo it. I mean, I'll strop the back again to work the burr back and forth, but I don't ever re-flatten the bottom. Now, one of the problems that a lot of people have is how exactly do you go about sharpening this thing, because it is such a pain. And here, let me actually set this one up.
They all want me to try the baby spokeshave, just so you know.
We will let you know. So I'm going to take this one out. I'm going to do my 151 because it's probably the most common iron. The problem is, how do you actually go about sharpening this one? This one is pretty dull, pretty dull. Now, the way I'm going to do it is I will give my plates just a little spritz. Is I will hold it on here and I'll put one finger on top. Actually, let me see if I can change this camera around, get you a little better angle of this. There, that's a little better. Is I'll put one finger on top, 2 fingers on either side, and then I'll bring in my other fingers because I want to have weight all the way across there. But my index finger is right in the middle. And then I hold it on that, and I might actually let the tips of my fingers slide back here as the bevel guide. And I want to feel this. Let me grab my rag.
Okay, when you're done demonstrating that,
Yes?
I want to actually try that.
Try
Because
sharpening?
you always make everything look.
Well, no, I'm going to show a couple different things because this is just the way I generally do it.
I know, but I want to try
because it's fast and easy. However, it is a skill to learn. Anytime you're doing freehand sharpening, you got to sharpen 50, 60, 100 times before you get the skill down. So generally what I'm going to do is grab it on here and go like that. I'm going to let my fingernail slide. And then I'm going to check for the scratch patterns. That's going pretty good. I want to make sure I get scratches going all the way across the front. I got a nice burr on there. And then I can just do that, 1, 2, 3. But the problem is it's very hard to hold it like that. It's a skill to learn. And so what I'll do is grab some vice grips. I'm going to tighten them down so they're actually going to grip it. And then with this, I'm going to put the iron at the angle I want, which is going to be right about there. And then I'm going to lock the vice grips down. And now my vice grips are my honing guide. And so with this, now I can sharpen like this. And yes, I'm going to be wearing into the back of my vice grip a little bit, but oh well, it's a vice grip. It's not anything really special. Bring some of that honing paste back. I want to make sure I'm getting a burr. Got that burr all the way across. Make sure my scratch pattern is all the way across indeed. Got a little bit more to do on this side.
You missed the super duper chat alert. Super chat alert.
Oh, we got a super chat.
Yes. And it was fancy. It was all smooth.
What do you say?
Alan said, Spokeshave alert. Sarah needs to gnome, parentheses, own it.
Just a little bit more. You have a mom joke?
Do I have a mom joke?
She's been collecting them this week.
I have had so much fun collecting them this week. It's not even funny.
Once I get that one, I'll just move on to the next one.
And yes, that was a pun intended.
It feels kind of weird to do it with the Spokeshave. I haven't done it that way in a while. Just want to check and make sure I got new scratch pattern all the way across. And then on the last one, what's the mom joke?
Okay. Why did the blonde nurse take a red magic marker to work?
Why?
In case she needed to draw blood.
Ah. That is your joke, isn't it?
That is my joke. Oh, wait, forget it.
Sarah walks up to me and she like pokes the veins in the back of my hand.
Oh, yeah. I
And it's
I
like,
could get
I
a
don't know if I should
16
be okay with
gauge
that.
in those veins. I know I can. Someday when he's asleep.
So now I've got this with a good burr all the way across the back of the iron, and I want to take it over onto the strop. I'm going to do the same thing over here. In this case, I could have kept it in there. I'm just going to do it on this. Exact same motion. I would do it freehand. Flip it over, run that burr the other way. I'm going to go back and forth, right up onto that edge. Let's see what that feels like. Yeah, see, now that's nice and sharp. Just catching right there.
Okay, so the foreman just says, this is very helpful. I hated sharpening my Spokeshave iron, but I was asking about the sole.
What?
His question, how does he flatten the bottom of a flat Spokeshave? He was talking about the sole, not the iron.
Oh, like this? You know, honestly, I have never had to flatten the sole of a plane, of an iron. I mean, it'd be really simple with a piece of sandpaper on there. Let's just see what the scratch pattern is on this one. Because they don't need to be really flat. They really don't. I mean, round bottoms are pretty common. Actually, this one's really flat. That's nice. This one's got a, let's see if I can show the reflection on here. It's flat all the way across there and a little bit over here. So this one's actually really nice and flat. I like that one. But they honestly don't need to be dead flat. And actually, a lot of old Spokeshaves, people will naturally have them in it askew, so it's cutting deeper on one side than the other, so you can adjust how deep you cut from one way to the other. And so, yeah, usually I would do it just like that. Set up a piece of sandpaper and go on that, on something flat. Don't really overthink it and take it into the thousands. It doesn't have to be amazing. So for reassembly on this, we're going to put it in here, bevel down. And that's one of the things I love about the 151 is it has these little notches that hold the screw in. Everything goes in nice like, and it should be exactly where it was last at. Except I want to pull the iron back just a hair. Lock this down. And we should be good to go. Back this one up just a little bit. There we go. So what I've got here is it's set up, it's cutting pretty deep on this side, and it's cutting very, very shallow on this side. So let's see what that looks like. Got a question for me?
Let's see. Tiny Woodshop asked, have you ever made a spokeshave, and specifically a wooden one?
Yes, I have videos making these two as well as a couple others. I think I have 2 or 3 different spokeshave videos. So let's see. Because the grain's going this way, I'm going to pull it. So on this one, let me switch over to this camera. I've got it on my thin side. It's just taking off a very, very light curl. And I move it over to the other side, and there's taking off a very heavy curl. Don't know if you can hear the difference between those two. And one of the questions I'm going to get is, should you push or pull? It really doesn't matter. I just go with whichever way the grain is going, so I'm always on one side. And I don't have to go around, because I can push on this side. I love these curls. This is just beautiful. I can pull on this side. And when you're holding a spokeshave, you don't want to hold the spokeshave. You don't want to be grabbing it. You want to actually pinch it. And you'll see these little flat spots in the back. That's where your thumb can go. And I'll actually hold it between my thumb and my middle finger on this one and my finger on top of this. And literally, I'm just holding it like that. My pinky and ring finger aren't touching it. And going against the grain now. And so the other fingers are out here are more or less just stabilization. If I'm really getting into something, they'll come down and hold a little bit more, but I'm not actually grabbing the plane. All the force is on these fingers here. And it's going to be the same across all of them. The thumb goes on either side, and that's what's putting the force into it. Index finger comes on top, and that's what's grabbing it. And you're just using, actually, I don't even know how sharp this thing is. Ooh, that's not very sharp at all. That's also a Travis shirt. That's crazy doll. Right, we won't do that one right now. So you're not going to grab it. You're just going to hold it. And even with like this little finger job, this one, it's the same thing. Little space back here for the thumbs to go. You're just going to pinch it and do little bits. Actually, this one I need to pull here. Little fun little plane. Just like that. What questions we got while I'm thinking about what I'm talking about?
Let's see. Woodwork Learner asked, do you prefer wooden or metal spokeshaves?
99% of the time, I'm going to use my Stanley 151. It's just quick, it's easy, it's functional, it's set up, it's ready to go. That's just the one I grab and go at it. Now, if I've got a little more detail and it's not just flat, I'm going to grab my Miller Falls. This is a round bottom. I'll be talking about that in a minute. And I like the round bottom because it gives me far more control. It takes a little more skill to use a round bottom, but it is a fun plane to have. I don't use my wooden planes that much because there isn't that much benefit between them. And sharpening these is a little bit more difficult, which actually, let's go ahead and show that while I'm talking about this. And knock this out because this one has a tang, which is a little bit harder to sharpen. Now, as much as I talk about this, I'm going to show the 151 iron and the tang. But there are a bunch of them out there that I'm not going to be able to show. So in this case, over to this one, you have the flat. This is actually the bed of the iron. And so I don't touch this once it's good and I have a sharpness all the way across there. I'm just going to work on the bevel here. But I can't do that with these plates in here. So I'm going to grab my screwdriver. And I'm going to pop out the plate. And I'm going to drop my screwdriver on the floor. Move the plate over here to the side. And I'm going to let these tangs hang over and rub on the side of this. Set this until I find the angle I'm looking for. Right there. And then my finger is going to come around. And this finger here is going to slide on the side of the plate. So this finger is actually sliding over here, keeping it the right distance in.
Excuse me.
Check. Yep, getting good. This is a really hard iron. I've got a little bit of a burr running on there. And it's running most of the way down to get a little bit more work to do back here. There we go. Now we have a burr running all the way across it lengthwise. And so I can then switch it out, grab the next plate. One of the things I like about this setup is 90% of the time I'm using the plates in here. It's just quick and easy to go. But when I do need to take them out for something, I can do that on here. Set that up where I need to go. Any questions while I'm doing this?
Well, we just had a super chat. I
Ooh,
don't think
super
it's come
chat. What we got?
across yet. Tom West says, yay, teacher says every time a tool falls, a woodworker gets a tool.
I dropped my, what was it? Oh, my Sweetheart low angle plane 2 days ago. Dropped right off the bench, landed on its side. It's good to go. I'm happy. It worked out pretty well. No problems, no scratches. There we go. And then the stropping on this one, because my strop is locked down, I'm actually just going to keep a strop on here, and I can do the same thing as putting the strop right on the side here. And on this one, I want to actually have it overhanging the side because I want to pull it a little bit. If I go straight across, my blade could actually slice it. So I want to keep it at a slight angle like this and pull it so I'm pulling back across the cross rather than right along it. And flip it over. I should do that on this one. I can grab this, do the back. A little more. There's a hair of a burr hanging on there. There we go. Of course, my phone is on loud. Sorry, I'll turn that off.
Okay, while you're doing that, Tom is owed a mom joke, so shush.
Oh, sorry. Give him the mom joke.
You don't breathe is the problem. Ready?
Yes.
What lies at the bottom of the ocean and twitches?
A nervous wreck.
Ah, you weren't supposed to get it. I was hoping to get you with that one.
Can't get the scuba diver on that one.
I know. Sometimes you're slow, though.
Most of the time.
Okay, hurry up. I want to play.
Okay, come on over. Let's play.
Okay. And yes, fuzzy pink slippers are certified shop shoes. Oh, should I bring my
Oh, going against the grain. That's why.
do I need my stool?
No.
Famous last words.
Oof, that was really deep. You gotta mess with that one a little bit and get you set up with this. Get rid of that stumbling block.
Why don't you just flip?
No, my pride is now in this. There we go.
Well, you know what they say about pride.
Okay.
You sure I don't need my stool?
If you want to grab your stool, go for it. But here, you can use this. So.
It's only chest night. Okay. Just
Now, put your thumbs on the flats on the back. Now, like this. So your thumbs go right up against the blade.
Okay.
Slide your index finger closer to the blade, and think about pinching it between your thumb and index finger.
Okay. I think the BB Spokeshave will fit better. What am I pinching?
Like right here or back here. So just think about holding it with those two with the finger and thumb.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then set it down flat on the surface. Now the bed flat, and then push it forward. Just like that.
Okay. Give me the baby one.
You want the little baby one? Give the little baby
This
one.
is what they all want.
Here, I'll get
Wait.
I'll get the camera on you.
You gotta have my, now put your hand next to my hand so we can see. Give me your hand.
Yeah.
See the difference?
All right, here.
Ready?
Yep.
Happy little wood curls. See, this one I can pinch. Do, do,
And the problem with spokeshaves is they tend to get addictive.
Okay.
So here, let me show you some of the differences. Because this one, as long as the sole is on there flat and you push it forward, it makes a curl. It makes really happy little curls. Then this one's round bottom. This is where the fun happens, because this is a far more versatile, but it takes far more control.
Like that?
Yep. Ooh, I'm impressed. She gets it first try. She's got some control. And
I have been married to you for a very long time.
Truth. And with a round bottom, you can actually roll it forward and backward. And as you roll it forward and backward, you get a lighter cut and a heavier cut. And so getting that angle just right and holding it right at that angle is where the skill comes in.
Sarah Spokeshave, right? Okay. Is there something else?
If you want to try other things, this is an aluminum hand plane.
Oh, it's light.
Yeah, here, turn it this way, that way.
Can we make sense? That looks weird.
Yeah. That one's more like a wooden body plane. It's set up with a pretty heavy cut.
Yeah.
Use that one for doing a lot of stock removal.
I feel like every time I lean forward, I should be like, oh, look, I've been impaled.
Cool.
I want eventually to do the...
You want to try the wooden body?
Well, sure, I'll do that too.
What's the chicka chicka chicka?
This.
Oh, you want to try sharpening? Oh, okay,
Yes.
I'll set it up for that.
Oh!
That one's going to be a little harder because you have to get, it's a round bottom, so you have to get that angle right.
This is like me, caveman. This is not finesse. The other ones are more
Well, it's because the thing about it is you're
Is this even
engaging
sharp?
the blade. Yeah, you're engaging the blade right at the right angle.
Uh-huh.
But what you want to do is if you roll it forward just a little bit, you'll take a lighter cut. Maybe that one isn't sharp.
I was like, there's no way
try
this is sharp.
Well, it's just a heavy cut, but. And it's just holding at that angle to get a lighter cut.
Okay, hang on.
Oh, and this one I also have set up with a very heavy cut here. Or right here is a light cut. Actually, no cut at all. And then here in the middle is a heavier one. And then over here is a light one as well. So you can see the mouth is very wide here in the open middle.
Yeah, I want to
Move
try
one
this
side or
again.
the other, you get a lighter cut.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with those other ones.
It
All right.
is a little on the
I
dull
want to
side,
sharpen.
but- Okay, here, I'll pull this iron out for you.
Do you need to move the camera? You need to.
There. Yep, that one's good for you. So this should be interesting. So
Diamonds are a girl's best friends. Sorry.
you want to hold this index finger in the front,
Yes.
thumb behind it.
Yes.
Other fingers can come in to support multiple places, and then your middle finger then becomes the gauge that rides on. So you can set the depth, the height that you want. So index finger in the front, thumb behind it. Middle finger comes down the side and actually goes underneath it a little bit.
Yep.
And then lift the iron up, higher angle, right there. And so this finger will actually slide on the plate, maintaining that angle.
Like that?
Yep, but you're dropping as you go down. As you go out, you're moving down, and then you come back, you're going high. You don't want to do that.
I don't. Oh,
No, you
I
wanna
thought
keep
you were
it-
saying I wanted to do
You want
that.
to keep it at 35 degrees, so higher, 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 right there.
I can't get
That's where you
it
want to hold it
in.
at. And so you want to feel it on this finger, and yeah, at that point you went down flat. Boy,
Cause yammer.
I'm going to have to work this one when you're done.
Well, maybe you could get me a stool because I am on my tippy toes. Well, could I just make smaller strokes?
You could, but then you're wearing out that section of the plate faster.
See, you make it look easy to everybody. But so I like that,
Yep.
and then you just do it, ta-da, and then
Yeah.
need my
You
own
gonna go back
bench
to
to
your chat?
do that. Yes. Ow! Ow! Jeez! How I have been
impaled.
impaled. Oh, my fingers are all dirty.
I'm not going to remember what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about this. So, yeah, doing it freehand is a great thing to do because you just pop it out, you run it, 30 seconds later, you're back in work. But as with freehand sharpening anything, it is a skill, and it's something you've got to get down. Oh, the last thing with setting them up, most spoke shaves are not very easy to set up, and the adjustment on them is done with a hammer. Now, the 151, which makes it a great beginner, is because it has these depth adjusters on here, and so you can actually do lateral and depth all with just these two knobs. With most other ones, you want to actually start the iron out backed out, and then you want to tap it forward. And then you tap it too far, and then you back it up. So you loosen it up a little bit, back the iron up, tighten it back down, and then you tap it forward, Logan. And then you tapped it too far, so you back it up. And you're going to go back and forth until you get it just right. Let me actually set this one just up. And I have my finger underneath here, so I can actually feel it. That one's good. Back, I hit it too far. Lock it down. Okay, and I can feel nothing is sticking out. You hit this side a little more. There, and I just feel the iron getting close to the mouth. And there, it's sticking out just a little bit. Let's give that a try. There you go. It's right about where I want it. One of the addictive things with spoke shaves is knowing when to stop, because I've seen a lot of boards whittled away to nothing because they're just a lot of fun. Now, most of the time when you're using a spoke shave, either you're throwing a chamfer on a board and you're just doing a few passes on each corner holding it at 45, or you're doing something organic, something with a bit of a flow to it. And that's where a lot of times I'm going to have a stick. And if you have a shave horse, it's a lot of fun. But if you don't have a shave horse, you can always use your bench as a shave horse. Lock it in there, and then go to town on that. Stand behind it just like you would with a shave horse, and have some fun whittling it down and doing whatever space you want. And there are lots of really interesting projects, because this is one of these are one of the tools that you can give to a kid and have a couple projects to do with them. One of the most common ones people think about are spoons. The spoon handle can be done with the spoke shave, and I have a video doing this one, and 90% of the work on the handle itself was just done with the spoke shave. And you can actually still leave it a large chunk of wood and in pretty quick order whittle it down and have a lot of fun, because you're making all of these fantastic curls that are just, they're happy. These are happy. And for a lot of people, hand tools really are about the curls, because you just can't make those with power tools. Another project is making your own butter knife. You can actually stick this one. This is a live video with my mother, 2 years or so ago? I think
my mother.
What's that?
The way you said my mother.
Well, actually, I don't know if this one was.
I don't know.
Because I've done it a couple different times. But you can get a small stick of wood, put it in the vise, and then go to town on it with the spoke shave and pull up across on it. And you can actually get a knife made pretty quickly. Another one that I love, and I did a video on this one with my son, is making these handheld propellers. So you rotate them and they fly away. Don't want to do it in here because I'll bang into things. But because of this, you can make a propeller very easily, putting a stick in there, shave down one corner until it's at the right angle, shave down its matching on the other side, then flip it around, put it in there, and do the same thing on the other side, getting the exact same angle on both. Put a stick in it, balance it, and you've got a propeller. And this is a fun project that you can make with a couple kids with just a drill and a spoke shave, and really, really quickly pump these out. It's a fun project to have. So that is some of the more common ones that I like to hand off, especially when getting kids in the shop. Just give them one of these. Have them a stick of wood you don't care about and say, make curls. I've several times with the kids down here where they've just literally been making curls for half an hour, 45 minutes, and they're still going at that same board, making it smaller, and having a good bit of fun with it. So what questions we got? 40? Yeah, we should jump onto questions.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this one out of order. The last Spokeshave you just had in your hand, Alex wants to know about the adjustment knob.
Oh, this one. This is the 51? No, the 53. The Stanley 53. And this one actually has this here, and I can push this down, and this whole lever goes forward and backward on here. What that does is it closes up the mouth and opens up the mouth. So you can actually adjust the mouth, the front of the bed, closed and opened with this little knob on here. It's a fun feature, but honestly, I've never really used it. There's two big springs up in here that move that back and forth. This is the first Spokeshave I ever purchased. It's kind of a fun little design, but it's not as useful, and I don't really have much of a need to open and close the mouth. But the Stanley 53, Stanley made a whole pile of different Spokeshaves because everyone's got different personalities and different things that they like. My favorite one in the shop is this Miller Falls that's flat or round bottom. Really, really nice Spokeshave. And I love this thing. It's just, it's one that takes a little more skill to use, but it's very, very versatile and functional. What's next?
Tommy Roberts. How important is the lever cap screw? Got a 52 with it broken off.
The lever cap screw. If you're talking about, this screw on here that actually holds the lever cap down, it's really important. You need that there in order to lever cap down, because the lever cap is what holds the iron down. So yeah, if it's broken off, I would say drill it out, tap it, and put a new one in, because it's pretty much necessary to make this work. At least I'm assuming that's what you're talking about with the lever cap screw. If not, ask again. What's next?
Chris Peters posted, Brandon Wellbreak in Ottawa wants to know your thoughts on the Stanley 65 chamfer spokeshave.
I don't know what you're referring to. Oh yeah, the one that has the frame that goes on the other side. Honestly, I find it a bit gimmicky. Just hold the plane at 45 and go until you're at the right spot. The nice thing about it is, like with any chamfer plane, is that it has a set amount. It will only take off that much, and then it stops cutting. That's useful, but yeah, not really necessary. But just my personal.
So Tommy Roberts replied with top screw. Does that make a difference for whatever you're just explaining?
Oh, unless you are talking about these two screws here that adjust the depth. So if one of those is broken off, yeah, you can still tap it down and hammer it with a plane. So just like I was adjusting this one, because this one doesn't have those two depth adjusters. Those just make it really easy to work with. But in all honesty, you can pick up one of these, like the one from Tay Tools. I want to say it's $30, and for all intents and purposes, it's just as good. Really isn't.
But someone posted earlier that Tay Tools was sold out.
Yeah, well, due to time, lots of tools are sold out. Let's see, Kuntz also makes it, but they're pretty much always sold out. Amazon, I think Amazon actually makes one, because Amazon has a line of hand tools. Their plane is trash, but the Spokeshave is good. Spokeshave is just a Spokeshave. There's several companies who have made that. They're Tay Tools is out of a lot of things right now, where it's just hard to get replacements at this time. So, yeah, which is very sad. What's next?
Okay, I don't know if we're going to get through all these questions, but we'll
get to as many as we can.
Tiny Woodshop.
Unless someone throws a super chat up, we'll jump in and answer that.
Where would one buy a kit to make a Spokeshave? Do you recommend any?
Veritas has a kit. If you go back to the video of making the spokeshave, just Google in the search "wood by Wright how to make a spokeshave." You'll come across the video where I make it. And I actually have links to, I think, 2 different kits for spokeshaves. The ones with these tangs are usually the ones that I get. And when I made the video, I bought a set of, I want to say it was 6 tangs on eBay for $10. And they're the tang style like this one. And they were dirt cheap back then. And then I made the video on it, and the price on them went up, and they were all sold out on eBay. So sorry about that. But usually you can find old tangs like this for around $10 a piece. The new kits are like $30, $40, and they're generally with a screw on top rather than a tensioned tang. It makes it a little bit easier for adjusting for some people, but personally I prefer the tension old tangs. They're just a little bit.
I thought you were just going to say
simpler.
you prefer the tension. And I was like,
I do. What's next?
all right. Colton asks, do spokeshaves work well for trimming end grain?
They can, yes. When you're working on end grain, you generally want to skew the plane, but there's the end piece. Just about dropped liquid all over my control board. You want to skew the blade so that you're still going with the grain, kind of. Let me bring this over and show you a little bit closer. Focus. Don't do that. Set this on. So let's grab number 50. Where's my 51? With this, rather than going straight across, putting a chamfer on like that, I'm going to skew it like this and go across at 45 degrees. And that way I'm still basically doing end grain. I'm still doing long grain going across. Now, if it's good and sharp, I still can go right across the top, except for on this one I'm taking off a really heavy cut. Back it up a little bit. Anytime you're doing end grain, you want to make a much lighter cut. Doesn't that sound great?
Yeah.
But yeah, can do end grain just like that. But most of the time people are thinking about doing the chamfering in the end. Just skew it at 45 degrees. You get a really nice clean end grain chamfer. Just like that. Cool, what's next? Oh, look at those. End grain curl. Those are pretty. Those are cool. I like that. Sorry. Curl addiction.
Brian just said, ow, end grain. I'd rather listen to you sharpen saws. You all aren't in the same room. Ugh. All right. Chris Peters, what grits are those 3 sharpening stones you're using?
If you want to see this, the video I had making this and several others, I actually have links to the exact irons. But whenever you talk about diamond plates, do not talk about grit. They don't cut the same way, and they're not corresponding to grit of whetstones or sandpaper. So theoretically, in measurement size, these are like 600, 1000, 1200-ish. However, they don't cut like that. So you can't compare the 1200 to 1200 grit sandpaper or a 1200 grit whetstone. And so in DFM Toolworks, not DMF, DMT diamond plates, this is coarse, medium fine, or I think they now just call it fine because they changed the names a couple times. And this one is extra fine. I also have an extra coarse that I use when I really need to take off a lot of material. But it ends up being this and then strop, and I'm good to go. If you want to see links to those, I have them on my website. There should be a link to that. But if you go back to any of the videos where I've done sharpening, I have links to the exact plates. But yeah, anytime someone starts asking what grit, then you start running into complications because they don't cut the same, and so they're not equivalent in the finish you get. Just different picky things about that. What's next?
Stephen Rutland asked, what wood would be the best to use for making one?
Whatever you got. If it's a soft wood, it's not going to last as long. If it's a really hard wood, you're going to spend more time making it. I like mine are made out of white oak.
Surprise.
Because I have scraps of it around, it takes like 30 minutes to make one. You can actually make a functional one in 10 minutes or less. They really don't take that much work. And so I make them out of whatever scrap. I mean, if you have hard maple, that'll last longer. If you have beech, that'll last longer. Some really good hard South American woods that have a good wearing surface, those will last longer. Going to take longer to make because they're harder, more durable wood. So in the end, it's really a preference. If you want to make one out of pine, you can. It's probably only going to last 1 or 2 uses, but it was really quick and easy to make. The purists out there are going to faux pas at the idea of making out of white oak because it's a ring porous wood. But whatever, it's yours. You can make it out of whatever you want. Just don't make it out of palm.
I remember a certain live.
What's next?
I think that's the one thing that divides the Knights of the White Oak palm. Let's see. Chris Peters asks, what's your favorite project you've done that used the Spokeshave?
I can't think of a favorite. Honestly, this spoon was a lot of fun. It's just an interesting shape and design, and this piece of walnut was just really cool to work with because the grain is all going this way, and then it kind of turns, and so it comes out here. The grain is actually going across the end of this, and so this area here and this area here are actually planing in grain. So it was very fun to do with it, and then bring it down into this shape. This one was a pleasure to make. But spokeshaves are always fun. Anytime I get a chance to use a spokeshave, it's a fun project. Like the live edge on the table, that was all done with the spokeshaves and cleaning down to decent wood underneath that. I'm trying to think of anything particular. The couple projects like the propeller, doing that with my son was a lot of fun. I'll probably do that again here sometime with the kids, because that's just a great time to watch them make curls. Because once it's set up, most people can run a flat bottom spokeshave without much of any help, and it's kind of fun to watch the kids' realization of how fun it is come together.
Why are they not in bed?
What's the next question?
Why are you guys not asleep?
We'll be upstairs in a bit, Melody. Go upstairs.
Go to bed.
And that's for the nightly kid barging in the shop.
Oh, wasn't Arthur asking for candy? That's the usual child.
Yes.
Let's see. Tim BBQ asked, what model number is that baby Spokeshave?
I have no idea. Where is that thing here? This one isn't a Stanley. This is just a. Yeah, there's a couple companies that used to make these. They used to make them brass, and I have no idea what company it is. You go to MWTCA meets, tool meets, and you'll see several of these. Actually, there's a guy on the Can I Have It group that was selling a few of these, and usually they'll come in like a set of 3 or 4, and they're all the exact same one, but just because the guy had 3 or 4, he's selling them all. I really don't know anything about the maker, but I'm pretty sure it's not Stanley, so I don't know if there's a number for it, because Stanley is what did the numbers. Stanley is the company that did the numbers. What's next?
Let's see. C. Joe said, what are your thoughts on the Lie-Nielsen Spokeshave?
Good stuff. Very good stuff. The problem with spokeshaves is there really isn't, it's hard to make them wrong. It's hard to make them bad. And the nice thing with Lie-Nielsen is you get an amazing fit and finish. It feels good in the hand. It's smooth. It's clean. Is it going to perform any better than a $30 spokeshave? No, but it feels really good. And so that's the big difference. So it's a great spokeshave. But in actual performance, a spokeshave really is kind of a spokeshave. What's next? Yes, the Stanley #1 of the Spokeshaves.
Tim Ort asks, is there a spoke shave that can take a finer shaving than a card scraper?
Yeah, it all depends on how you set it up. I mean, you can set up a spoke shave to take a 10,000th shaving. Yeah. So pretty much any of these could be set up to do that. Just takes a little bit of time of getting it really, really sharp and dialing it in. In that case, you'd want to have a really nice flat bottom or rounded bottom to match. But yeah, sure. You can get a shaving with these just as small as you can with any plane. Let's see, 4 minutes left. How many more do we have?
4 or 5.
Okay, let's see what we can get.
Let's see, Tom West. Are heavy bronze spoke shaves better because of the weight?
No. I mean, Sarah was one who likes the lighter weight aluminum. Yeah, and spoke shaves don't need mass to keep going. They're very easy to push, so a heavier spoke shave is just more work. So generally no. What's next?
Billy Jack asked, is there an inexpensive spoke shave that you would recommend to a new hand tool woodworker?
Yes, and we talked about a few of those. The Tay Tools is the top of my list when it's in stock. Kuntz makes a good one. Amazon actually makes one. Spoke shaves are just one of those things, it's difficult to make a bad one. They are out there, but most of the time if you get one that's shaped like the Stanley 151, actually Harbor Freight even sells one that's relatively decent. I mean, you might need to tune it up a little bit and check the sole and make sure it's actually flat, but it's kind of hard to make it wrong. What's next?
Brian Fulmer said, can you wax a spoke shave when you were doing that end grain?
Yeah, I guess I could wax it. Here, let's try that, see what it sounds like. Hey, check it out. That sounds a lot better. Oh, I love those end grain curls. Those are pretty. So yeah, wax it, makes it quieter. And speaking of which, you can always buy the Wood by Wright paste wax in my shop.
Let's see. Flyfishinchief asks, what is the model number of that Miller's Falls spoke shave? Also, how would you sharpen the concave spoke shave blade?
I have no idea what the model number is. Someone in the group will. Yeah, I don't remember. I'm not big on model numbers. It's that one. You sharpened this one with sandpaper on a dowel. So wrap sandpaper over a dowel and then sharpen it the exact same way you do with these, just on the dowel. And if the dowel is smaller than the curvature of the spoke shave, you just do each spot continuously around it until you get all of them done. You can actually, when it's functional, round off a shape that is exactly that curvature, then put sandpaper on that curvature and do it on that. But most of the time I find just to use a slightly smaller dowel works perfectly fine.
So now they're saying for when we have our Ren Fair for the Knights of the White Oak that we should have a competition to get the thinnest white oak shaving. Let's see. Okay, I have one more question, not necessarily spoke shave related. Woodworking with Logan asks, what are some good gifts? Good gifts?
Yes. Actually, I just had a video come out this last week, and that's my gift recommendation video. And so I went through a bunch of different ideas for that. So, you know, a spoke shave is a good one, because even if you have a woodworker who has a couple spoke shaves, they can always use more spoke shaves. It's one of those things that you can never have enough spoke shaves. You can never have enough marking gauges. You can never have enough clamps. Glues and other things that are shop usable. Paste wax. You can never have enough paste wax. Strops, things like that any woodworker out there will be happy to get. There are lots of those. But I have a video where I went through some of my recommendations, and I've got a series of like 5 or 6 videos, because I make one each year, that have slightly different recommendations. And then I actually, in the video, I have a link to one other site that has Christmas gift recommendations for woodworkers. So go look through those, and then we'll give you lots of ideas. Is that a last minute super chat?
It is, because Alex has now been named Duke of Engrain. Duke of Engrain.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Mom jokes. Ready?
Oh, we got one for...
and then Flyfishinchief. Yep.
Hey, thank you. What you got?
What do Alexander the Great and Winnie the Pooh have in common?
What?
The same middle name.
Yes.
Ready? This
What?
is for Flyfishinchief. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears who?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Oops, I did it again.
On that note,
Tired, slap, happy Sarah now.
there's a reason that people tune in. It ain't the woodworking.
Alrighty.
Cool.
It's 9:02. I need to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm working on a project. Hopefully next week we're going to actually do pentagonal splayed boxes. So I've got something I want to do that, and I think I can make it into a live. I was wanting to do it this week, but we'll try next time.
What are we trying to make into a live?
Pentagonal splayed boxes.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that.
Or a splayed bull. So it'd be kind of fun. So we'll see how that goes. But I think I'll do it for now. So yeah, until next time, have a wonderful day.
Bye. Maybe we should go live and have you watch teaching me how to finish my bench this weekend.
That could be bad.
I think it'd be awesome. All right. Goodbye.
See ya. Okay.